To all bartenders, what is the weirdest thing you've experienced behind the bar? I was working the bar on a weekday, mostly super slow, but I got good hourly pay, and most people who come in tipped. There was a guy who came in, well dressed, said shot of Wild Turkey and a Bud Light Platinum. He had a few of those rounds. Then he went to pay and just laid $100 on the counter. I went to get his change, and when I turned around he was out the door. I went to get his glass and bottle when I noticed he left a pamphlet and a coin on the table. The paper was for a funeral. It had a picture of the man, his wife and their daughter. They had died in a car accident. The coin he left behind had a V45 inside of a triangle. It said, "To thy own self, be true," and there was a prayer on the back. 1987, Soho, New York. First day on the job, and in walks John Gotti and two of his thugs. One of his thugs says, "Give me 3 of your best cognacs." Before I could pour them, he left $200 on the bar and the 3 of them walked to the back of the restaurant and ordered 3 Pellegrino waters from the waitress. I was young, scared and inexperienced, so I did nothing. The drink sat on the bar with the $200 as I contemplated the $160 tip. After a long 15 minutes they got up, came back over to the bar, and lifted one of the $100 bills before they left, leaving a $60 tip for drinks untouched. When the senior bartender came in for the night shift, I explained to her what had happened, and she explained to me that I did it all wrong. I should have carried over the drinks, made change, and they would have told me to keep it. While that seems obvious now, what was not obvious was what she said after that. They were never interested in the drinks, but securing themselves some private time in a restaurant they knew was not bugged, so they could order a hit. A common practice known to her. So I left with $60 blood money and treated the lunch wait staff to drinks at another bar. I had a couple come in one night. They ordered a Miller Lite bottle and a glass of wine. They hung out for a bit and left. Next night, the couple comes in, sat down. I said hi, bottle of Miller Lite and a glass of wine. The guy says, "How the hell do you know that?" I said, "It's just what you ordered yesterday." The couple says, "We have never been in here before." I looked closer at a very similar looking, but completely different couple from the night before. But that was their drinks of choice. We used to have a bit of a drug problem in the bar I worked in back in the 90s. The manager came up with an idea to put Vaseline on the flat surfaces in the toilet cubicles with warnings as to why they were there, which was to obviously stop people snorting it off them. Anyway, fast forward a week and a very angry middle-aged man storms up to the bar and demands to talk to whoever just ruined his 3 lines of cocaine, and that he wanted to make an official complaint. We laughed and asked if we should report it to the police, at which point he left. I once had an old man come during a very quiet shift, asked to use the loo. I pointed him in the direction and carried on whatever I was doing. About 30-40 minutes go by, and I suddenly remember that happened, and I hadn't seen him leave. I hurry to the toilet thinking I've got the scene from Clark's going on. When I arrive, the toilet door is locked, and there's no answer from inside. Fearing the worst, I grabbed the toolkit and got the door open. Inside were a pair of shoes and socks on the floor, with a phone on top of the toilet. I freak out and run around the building searching for the guy. My brain is going mental. I eventually have the brainwave of checking CCTV. I find out the guy had ran out of the toilet with no shoes or socks on, and out through one of the fire escapes. I never did find out why or how he relocked the toilet door. Spun me out for the rest of my shift, to say the least. Woman walks in, buys a bottle of our most expensive wine, $3K, sits down with a bowl of peanuts and drinks the whole bottle in one sitting, pays for it in cash, and strolls outside like nothing happened. I've posted this story before, but it's very relevant here. I work in a bar. One afternoon, a middle-aged man and a teen/early 20-something couple, a boy and girl, whom I assumed were either his kids, or one of them was his kid and the other was his/her significant other, stopped directly in front of the bar's big front window. The older man and boy go to hug, no big deal. They start making out. The girl doesn't react, then inches closer. The man then reaches up and starts feeling the girl's boob while he's making out with the boy. The three of them are just standing in the street like that. The boy and the man going at it. The girl hanging out getting her boob fondled. Looking kinda bored. Until boom. All three pull away and act casual as an older woman about the man's age walks up. She greets everyone with a peck on the cheek. Then all four of them walk away together. Looking like a happy family. There was one other person in the bar with me. A regular. We had both watched the whole thing in silence. I asked him if he saw what I saw. He said yes, and that was it. We've never talked about it. I was working on my own and the bar was completely empty aside from one semi-regular customer. He was really drunk and decided he wanted to play the piano. We didn't have one, so he went home, only lived down the road, got his keyboard, and brought it into the bar to play. I ended up staying open late because I felt bad. Another bartender getting so drunk while working he fell asleep standing up. College kids trying to do shots through their eyes. Another bartender who thought it was hot when she opened bottles with her armpits. A man who was upset at another bartender grabbed drink after drink off the bar and started throwing them at him, smashing all the mirrors behind the bar. A new bartender was asked to get a bucket of ice from the ice machine. He came back, his hands were bright red. He didn't know he was supposed to use a scoop. Finding a notebook at the bar with fan fiction about one of the servers being offered tips, but instead of cash, things such as drugs, sex, an expensive jacket, frozen meat, power tools, lottery tickets, horse riding lessons. College kids throwing up into the pitcher they were drinking then continue drinking it. A man who looked about 60 walked up to the bar, introduced himself as Satan, and tried to fight every man he could. I was awkwardly offered sex in the adjacent men's toilets from a trampy looking middle-aged woman. I was 18 at the time. When I politely declined the offer, she proceeded to have a chat with my boss. I didn't even have much time to wonder if she was making a complaint or something before they both left for his office. He came back out acting as if he'd just spent time with a supermodel. I acted dumb and asked, "Who was that?" He nonchalantly replied, "Dunno." "Oh, that guy's wife," and pointed to the man I'd just poured a drink for. I saw a lot of things tending bars for 10 years, but this was definitely the weirdest. Upscale restaurant, a guy approaching toddlers throughout the dining room and asking them, "Do you like dinosaurs?" After 3 or 4 of these innocent enough encounters, he suddenly jumps onto a table, squats down real low, puts on his T-Rex arms and starts screeching like a Jurassic Park velociraptor. He's craning his neck back and forth, jumping from table to chair to next table, stalking the kids and screeching at them. Takes a good 5 minutes before his party is able to corral him and get the fuck out of there. I've seen a guy go from 0 to 100 in less than half an hour. He kept asking for straw 80%. After I already gave him 2, I refused giving him more, seeing the state he was in. My co-bartenders however didn't know, so he ended up doing 5 or 6 shots with 80% alcohol in under half an hour. That's equivalent to 10 to 12 shots of vodka, alongside whatever else he was drinking. Luckily a friend of his caught on and helped me feed the guy shots of water as if they were normal shots. He was asking for more. Next hour also went fine and the guy was wobbling on the dance floor. All of a sudden after that, his legs gave up and his friends had to permanently support him. He ended up throwing up in the hall and outside. We almost called an ambulance, but luckily one of his friends was sober enough and took him to his own room. Our bar is pretty small and a part of the building I live in, so most of the times it's regulars, and there's never really anything spectacular or weird. This was a pretty intense night with a lot of wasted foreigners though. After I refused to serve a guy, he tried to reach over the bar and take the knife I was using to cut the lemons with, presumably to either use it on me or help me cut the lemons. Fuck knows. It was a Monday afternoon. A man who is objectively a 10, just using dominance, came in with his shy girlfriend, who was a 425. When I walked over to introduce myself, he pulled a classic power move and decided to switch tables. A few minutes later, the man returned from the bathroom as I walked over with their drinks. He leaned in and, I thought he said, "You have a cricket in the bathroom." I clarified, "We have a cricket in the bathroom?" He said no. Can we have a quickie in the bathroom? His GF just smiled back at me. I thought he was joking, and I ultimately said something along the lines of course not. He asked why, and I asked why he had asked me. Our bathrooms are down a hallway and I likely wouldn't have noticed if they both went in together. I immediately went to tell our cook about the strange exchange, and when I peeked through the kitchen window, they were both gone. They returned like 2 minutes later. I mean, very quickly. I was thinking to myself there is no way they could get it in so fast. But when he left he signed the check, cricket problem solved, and left me a 100% tip. Maybe that's their thing. Not just having sex in public bathrooms. No. They need someone else to know they are doing it. I haven't seen them since, and I like to believe they are still out there, solving cricket problems. PS. Having a cricket is my boyfriend and my new favorite term for a quickie. I tended bar at an expensive restaurant, where we would frequently have 1 to 2 hour waits for a table, and the bar would be packed. This woman decides to start blowing the dude she is with at the bar. No shame at all. Finally, I get to comment. As a server/bartender I've seen some pretty fun stuff. I have had, on multiple occasions, been offered to bang some dude's wife/girlfriend. I have seen people puke under tables then try and continue eating/drinking with their feet in puke. For some reason people like to show each other nude pictures at bars, so I have seen a lot of people or people's significant others naked. I once had a dude try and fight me over goat cheese. Last night actually I had a lady just lean over my bar and demand a kiss. I'm in my mid-20s, and she was easily old enough to be my mom. Also, people think it's okay to say some really dirty and inappropriate things to service workers. This industry will burn you out, but damn it, if you don't get to see some fun stuff. Thanks for watching the video. For more content like this, please subscribe, like, and share the video and push the notification button.